The elevator doors slid open on the 47th floor of Sterling and Knox, and Alex Harper stepped out into a storm he never saw coming. His coffee sloshed over the rim of his cup as a senior associate barreled past, muttering, "Watch it, Fairy," under his breath just loud enough for the open-plan office to catch the echo. In that split second, as heads turned and smirks rippled like aftershocks, Alex realized his internship at one of New York's most cutthroat law firms wasn't just a ladder to climb. It was a gauntlet designed to break him. He'd barely made it to his desk when the whispers started, a low hum building like distant thunder. It was week 3, and the novelty of his diversity hire status had worn off, replaced by the kind of casual cruelty that thrived in fluorescent-lit bullpens. Alex smoothed his tie, the one his mom had ironed that morning, with a hopeful, "You've got this, kid," and forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He was 23, fresh out of NYU law with a GPA that could cut glass. But here, in this temple of pinstripes and power plays, his resume meant nothing if you caught him glancing too long at the guy from Mergers. "Harper," barked Elena Vasquez, the paralegal who'd taken it upon herself to be his unofficial tormentor. She leaned over his cubicle wall, her nails tapping like machine gun fire on the partition. "Where's the Ross file? We've got a partner meeting in 10, and if I have to explain to Mr. Knox why you're late again, I'll make sure your reference letter reads like an obituary." Her voice dripped with that faux professional venom, the kind that masked bigotry as banter. Alex's stomach twisted. He'd pulled an all-nighter on that file, cross-referencing precedents until his eyes burned, only for her to accidentally delete half his notes yesterday. "It's right here," he said, sliding the folder across his desk with hands that betrayed a slight tremble. Elena snatched it, flipping through pages with exaggerated disdain. "Sloppy. And what's this highlight? Pink. Trying to match your vibe." Laughter erupted from the cluster of associates nearby, a pack of wolves in Brooks Brothers. One of them, Jared, the golden boy with the fraternity handshake and the homophobic dad jokes, leaned in. "Hey, Alex, you free this weekend? My sister's got a friend. Straight one. Might fix that whole situation." The office noise dipped for a beat, then surged back, but Alex felt it like a slap. He swallowed the retort burning in his throat, the one about how his situation had him falling for someone real last summer, someone who saw past the labels and into the quiet fears he buried deep. But vulnerability wasn't currency here. It was chum in shark-infested waters. "I'll pass," he muttered, turning to his screen, but the damage lingered, a bruise forming under his skin. By noon, the tension had coiled tighter. Alex was in the copy room, wrestling with a jammed printer that seemed as uncooperative as the firm itself, when the door swung open. It was Marcus, the junior associate who'd been his one tentative ally, a quiet black man with a sharp mind and sharper wit, who'd shared a knowing nod over coffee last week. But even Marcus had his limits. The firm's old guard had a way of isolating anyone who strayed from the script. "You okay?" Marcus asked, glancing over his shoulder like they were plotting a heist. Alex nodded, too quickly. "Just the usual." Marcus hesitated, then lowered his voice. "Look, I overheard Vasquez in the break room. She's pushing for you to handle the pro bono LGBTQ case solo, knowing it'll tank your hours if it goes south. It's a setup." Alex's heart stuttered. The case was a landmark discrimination suit, the kind that could make or break a career, but loaded with landmines in a firm that donated to family values PACs behind closed doors. "Why me?" Alex whispered, though he knew the answer. Because he was the gay intern, the easy target, the one they could virtue signal with while daring him to fail. Marcus clapped a hand on his shoulder, brief but solid. "Fight it. Or don't. But don't let them see you bleed." And then he was gone, leaving Alex alone with the hum of the machine and the weight of unspoken alliances fracturing before they could form. The afternoon blurred into a haze of revisions and revisions of revisions, each email from Elena a fresh incision. "Fix this comma, Harper. Precision matters, unless you're color-coding your feelings instead." By 5, Alex's inbox was a battlefield, flagged messages piling up like unanswered prayers. He stole a moment in the stairwell, scrolling through old texts from Theo, his ex from undergrad. "Miss your laugh in the chaos," Theo had written months ago, before the distance and the doubts pulled them apart. Alex's thumb hovered over reply, but what was there to say? I'm drowning here, and no one's throwing a line? Back at his desk, the real storm hit. Mr. Knox himself, silver-haired titan of torts, face like weathered granite, strode through the floor, Elena trailing like a shadow. Harper. Knox's voice boomed, stopping traffic. Alex shot up, heart hammering. Sir. Knox thrust a tablet under his nose. This brief. It's garbage. Who signed off on this drivel? It was Alex's work, polished to a sheen, but Elena's smirk said she'd doctored it just enough. The office went still, eyes on him like spotlights. I can explain, Alex started, voice cracking under the scrutiny. Knox's lip curled. Explain? Boy, in this firm, you don't explain, you deliver. Or you pack your bags. The words landed like a gavel, and the associates shifted, some averting gazes, others leaning in for the kill. Jared whispered something to a colleague, the snicker slicing deeper than any rebuke. In that moment, suspended between humiliation and the urge to bolt, Alex felt the full crush of it. The years of hiding in high school locker rooms, the cautious coming out to a family that loved him but whispered about phases, the hope he'd pinned on this internship like a lifeline. It was all unraveling, thread by thread, in a room full of strangers who saw him as a punchline. Then, the elevator dinged again. Not the service one this time, but the executive lift, reserved for partners and VIPs. Heads turned as a man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, with a mane of white hair and eyes like storm clouds. He wore a simple navy suit, no tie, but the way he moved commanded the space, as if the air parted for him. Whispers rippled. Is that? No way, not here. Knox's face drained of color. Mr. Harper. He stammered, the tablet forgotten in his grip. Elena's smirk evaporated. She shrank back, suddenly small. The man, Elias Harper, Alex's grandfather, the reclusive philanthropist whose foundations had quietly bankrolled half the progressive causes in the city, scanned the room until his gaze locked on Alex. The silence that fell was absolute, a vacuum sucking the oxygen from the floor. No one breathed. No one moved. Elias. Knox recovered, forcing a smile that didn't fit. What a surprise. We weren't expecting. Elias raised a hand, cutting him off like a blade. His voice, when it came, was gravel and thunder. I came for my grandson, and from the look of things, I arrived just in time. The office held its collective breath as Elias crossed the floor, ignoring the outstretched hands and the frantic backpedaling. He stopped at Alex's desk, placing a calloused hand on his shoulder, the same hand that had taught him to fish on Michigan summers, the one that had held steady when Alex came out at 16, tears streaming, convinced the world would end. You all right, kid? Elias murmured, low enough for only Alex to hear. Alex nodded, throat tight, the knot of fear loosening just a fraction. But as the weight of 60 pairs of eyes bore down, he knew this was no fairy tale rescue. It was the spark to a firestorm, one that would burn through secrets, loyalties, and the fragile bridges he'd been building in the shadows. Elias turned then, facing the room like a general surveying troops. Let's talk, he said to Knox, but his tone made it clear. This wasn't a request. As they retreated to the corner office, glass walls doing nothing to muffle the stunned murmurs, Alex sank into his chair. Marcus caught his eye from across the way, a subtle thumbs up flashing like a lifeline. But Jared's glare lingered, promising retaliation, and Elena's fingers flew over her phone. Damage control, or something darker. By 6, the floor had cleared out faster than a fire drill, associates scattering like leaves in a gale. Alex lingered, packing his bag with mechanical precision, when the door to Knox's office opened. Elias emerged first, expression unreadable, followed by a pale Knox who managed a stiff, "We'll discuss this tomorrow, Harper. Both of you." The elevator ride down with his grandfather was silent at first, the city lights streaking past like accusations. You didn't have to come, Alex finally said, staring at his shoes. Elias chuckled, a rumble that echoed off the steel walls. Family doesn't have to, Alex. We show up. Now, tell me everything. And don't sugarcoat it. This firm's got skeletons, and I'm done letting them rattle in your closet. As they stepped into the lobby, rain-slicked streets reflecting neon halos, Alex felt the first crack in the dam. He spilled it all. The barbs, the setups, the loneliness that gnawed deeper than any joke. Elias listened, nodding, his presence a bulwark against the night. But as they hailed a cab, Alex's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Saw what went down. We need to talk. Marcus? Or someone else, lurking in the wings? Little did he know, that message was the thread to a tapestry of alliances and betrayals woven tighter than he could imagine, pulling him toward a love that would demand everything, and a truth that could shatter the firm to its foundations. The cab wove through Manhattan's veins, horns blaring like impatient heartbeats, as Alex leaned back against the worn leather seat. Elias watched him with that steady gaze, the one that had seen Alex through scraped knees and schoolyard taunts, now weathered by decades of boardroom wars and quiet revolutions. That place, Elias started, it's a machine, Alex. Grinds up dreamers and spits out drones. But you're no drone. Alex managed a half-smile, the city's glow softening the edges of his exhaustion. Feels like I'm the only one who showed up to the wrong party. He hesitated, then added, Grandpa, why today? You could have called. Elias's eyes crinkled at the corners. Your mom mentioned the internship was challenging. Figured challenging meant code for hell. And after that gala last month, heard Knox's crew toasting to traditional values while cashing my checks? Time to remind them who writes the rules. The cab pulled up to Elias's brownstone in the village, a bastion of ivy and iron that smelled of aged books and fresh basil from the window boxes. Inside, the living room was a time capsule, faded Persian rugs, shelves groaning under legal tomes and civil rights manifestos, a photo of Elias and Alex's grandma on the mantel, her laugh frozen in black and white. Alex's grandma, the firebrand who'd marched with Stonewall veterans, leaving Elias a widower with a legacy of love that defied eras. They settled in the kitchen, Elias pouring scotch for himself and ginger ale for Alex. Old habits from when Alex was too young for the burn. Spill the rest, Elias urged. Who's the ringleader? Vasquez. Alex nodded, tracing the rim of his glass. She's relentless. Thinks I'm a threat or a joke, can't decide which. And Jarrett. He's the type who smiles while twisting the knife. But there's Marcus. He's different. Kept me from drowning today. Elias leaned forward, elbows on the scarred oak table. Allies are gold in foxholes. But trust's earned slow. Remember your dad, God rest him, always said, watch the quiet ones. They're plotting or praying. Alex's chest tightened at the mention. His father, gone 5 years now from a heart attack that stole him mid-sentence, had been the bridge between worlds. Straight-laced engineer by day, fierce dad who learned rainbow flags for Alex's pride parades. Dad would have hated this, Alex said softly. He pushed me to fight, not fold. As the night deepened, stories flowed like the East River outside. Elias recounting his own youth, buttoned up in the 60s, loving a man in shadows until the world caught up. I hid for years, he admitted, voice rough. Lost good people to silence. Won't let that be your story. Alex absorbed it, the generational echo hitting like a revelation. For the first time since arriving in the city, he felt seen, not as the intern, the gay kid, but as Alex. His phone buzzed again, the unknown number. Coffee tomorrow? 8 a.m., bean counter on 6th. Come alone. Curiosity warred with caution, but Elias caught the glow. Boyfriend? He teased gently. Alex flushed. No. Theo and I. It's complicated. He moved to Boston for med school. We're friends. Ish. Elias's brow arched. Ish means unfinished business. Life's too short for half measures, kid. Sleep came fitful in the guest room, dreams tangled with office fluorescence and Theo's crooked smile. Morning broke gray and drizzly, Alex slipping out before Elias stirred, hailing a subway to Midtown. The bean counter was a hole-in-the-wall haven, steam fogging windows, baristas calling orders like poetry. He spotted Marcus at a corner table, nursing a black coffee, dark circles under his eyes belying the easy grin. Glad you came, Marcus said, sliding over a menu. Figured after yesterday, you'd bolt. Alex sat, shoulders tense. Almost did. Grandpa's timing was biblical. Marcus laughed, a sound like relief. Elias Harper. Legend. My aunt worked with his foundation. Says he's the reason half the city's shelters stay open. But listen, that's not why I texted. He leaned in, voice dropping. Vasquez isn't just gunning for you. She's got dirt, emails, I think, from a rival firm. She's leveraging the pro bono to cover her tracks. If that case flops, it buries you, but if it wins, it exposes her. Alex's pulse quickened. How do you know? Marcus's expression shadowed. I overheard. And I've got my own reasons to dig. My brother's trans came out last year. Firm's values nearly cost him his spot in their summer program. It's personal. The pieces clicked, a fragile map forming. Allies, yes, but how deep did the rot go? As they plotted, discreet inquiries, backup files, Alex felt a spark, the first real thrill since orientation. Marcus's passion mirrored his own, a quiet fire that made the air between them hum with possibility. Not romance, not yet, but connection, raw and rare. Back at Sterling and Knox, the atmosphere crackled like live wire. Knox had called an all-hands, associates fidgeting in the conference room as Elias's shadow loomed large. Changes, Knox announced curtly, avoiding eyes. Harper stays. Full support on the pro bono. Vasquez, you're reassigned. Elena's face twisted, a venomous glare at Alex that promised storms. Jared slouched, arms crossed, but his smirk was gone, replaced by wary calculation. Alex dove into the case that week, poring over depositions in the firm's dusty library, Marcus smuggling him extra hours under the radar. Late nights bled into dawn, fueled by vending machine snacks and shared war stories. Marcus's coming out in a Bible Belt town, Alex's first pride kiss under fireworks. Laughter bridged the gaps, easing the ache of isolation. But twists lurked. One evening, as rain lashed the windows, Alex's phone lit with Theo's name. In town for a conference. Dinner? Miss you. Heart somersaulting, Alex agreed, meeting him at a cozy bistro in Chelsea. Theo looked older, sharper, stethoscope tan lines peeking from his collar, but his eyes still held that summer warmth. Heard about the internship drama, Theo said over wine, clinking glasses. Sounds like you. Alex shrugged, deflecting. Grandpa played night. Save my ass. Talk turned tinder, regrets surfacing like bubbles. I should have fought harder, Theo admitted. Boston's cold without you. Alex's resolve wavered, the pull magnetic, but Marcus's steady presence echoed, a reminder that roots could tangle in new soil. As they parted with a hug that lingered, Alex wondered, was this closure or complication? Friday brought the bomb. In a client call, the pro bono plaintiff, a trans woman suing for workplace harassment, broke down, alleging Vasquez had tampered with evidence. Knox's face went ashen. Elias, dialing in remotely, demanded an audit. The firm erupted, fingers pointing, loyalties fracturing. Jared cornered Alex in the hall. This you're doing? Stirring shit because you can't hack it. His breath reeked of scotch, eyes wild. Alex stood firm. Truth's not a weapon, Jared. It's a mirror. The confrontation escalated, voices rising until security peeled them apart. Bruised but unbroken, Alex retreated to the roof, city sprawl a glittering accusation below. Marcus found him there, handing over a thermos of coffee. Heard. You good? Alex nodded, leaning on the ledge. Tired of running. Marcus's hand brushed his. Accidental, electric. Then stand. With me. In that suspended moment, under a canopy of stars smudged by light pollution, Alex glimpsed the horizon, not just survival, but reclamation. But as sirens wailed distant, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real unraveling was just beginning. The audit hit like a freight train, ripping through Sterling and Knox with the precision of a scalpel. By Monday, laptops were seized, emails subpoenaed, and the once polished associates huddled in corners like suspects in a lineup. Alex navigated the minefield with Marcus at his flank, their partnership evolving into something unspoken but solid, a rhythm of glances and gestures that steadied the chaos. Elias's influence pulsed beneath it all, his foundation lawyers embedding like quiet commandos, sifting files for the firm's underbelly. They're scared. Elias confided over a clandestine lunch at a deli near Foley Square. Knox built this on sand, anti-discrimination on paper, prejudice in the pores. Alex picked at his pastrami, appetite lost. And me? Am I the wedge, or the casualty? Elias's eyes softened. You're the catalyst, kid. Change hurts, but stagnation kills. Theo's visit lingered like a half-read letter, texts pinging sporadically. Thinking of you in that storm. Alex replied in bursts, careful not to ignite old flames, but the what-ifs not. Marcus noticed, during a late-night strategy session in the firm's empty war room. Maps of case timelines sprawled across the table, highlighters bleeding color. Ghost from the past? Marcus asked, not prying, just present. Alex sighed, capping a pen. Ex-good guy, bad timing. Marcus nodded, understanding etching his features. Timing's a thief, but sometimes it returns what it steals. Their conversation veered deeper, vulnerabilities surfacing like icebergs. Marcus shared the scar of his brother's transition. Family rifts mended in tears, the firm's rejection a fresh wound. I came here to prove something, he said, voice low. That we belong. But watching you fight, it's reminding me why. Alex met his gaze, the air thickening with the weight of mutual recognition. No declarations, just a bridge built in shared silences, stronger than words. Vasquez's reassignment was a farce. She slunk through back channels, her network a web of whispers. One afternoon, she cornered Alex in the archives, fluorescent buzz amplifying her hiss. You think Grandpa's ghost will save you? This firm's blood is blue. Harper. Old money, old ways. You're a phase. Her words stung, but Alex held ground, channeling Elias's steel. Phases end, Elena. Legacies don't. And mine's just starting. She recoiled, but the threat in her eyes promised payback. That night, payback arrived in pixels. An anonymous email hit Alex's inbox. Grainy photos, him and Theo at Pride last year. Arms linked, joy captured mid-laugh. Attached note, share this or drop the case. Blackmail, crude and cutting. Panic surged, but Alex forwarded it to Elias's team, breath ragged. They're playing dirty, he gasped over the phone. Elias's response was ice. Let them. Dirt shows under light. Marcus arrived at Alex's apartment unannounced, takeout bags swinging like peace flags, a cramped walk-up in Hell's Kitchen, posters of Ruth Bader Ginsburg peeling at edges. Heard the buzz. Figured you needed backup. They ate on the fire escape, city symphony below, dissecting the threat. It's Jared, Marcus guessed. He's got that sleazy contact vibe. Alex nodded, the violation churning. Feels like high school all over, closeted bullies with cameras. As steam rose from chow mein, talk turned to dreams deferred. Marcus wanted to litigate for the marginalized, not megacore. Alex craved a practice that healed divides, not deepened them. We could do it together, Marcus said casually, then froze, as if the words had escaped unbidden. Alex's heart stuttered, possibility blooming. Yeah, he replied softly. We could. The next day, the firm teetered. Knox called Alex into his office, door ajar like a trap. Sit, he commanded, steepling fingers. This mess, it's bigger than you know. Vasquez? She's out, but the board's twitchy. Elias's pressure. It's fracturing alliances. Knox's eyes bored in, a mix of resentment and reluctant respect. You're good, Harper. Damn good. But good gets you killed here. Alex leaned forward. Or it gets you heard. Give me the green light on the pro bono, full resources. Prove you're not the dinosaur they say. Knox paused, then nodded curtly. Done. But if it blows, it's on you. Victory tasted bittersweet, laced with the anonymous email's shadow. Alex emerged to find Theo waiting in the lobby, duffel at his feet. Surprise, Theo grinned, but anxiety flickered. Conference extended. Thought I'd stick around. Help if you need. Alex's world tilted, old affections clashing with new sparks. Ah yeah, dinner again. The trio, Alex, Theo, Marcus, convened at a dive bar in the East Village, pool cues clacking like uneasy truces. Theo charmed with med school tales. Marcus countered with legal zingers, but undercurrents swirled. Theo's hand on Alex's knee under the table, casual yet claiming. Marcus's sidelong glances, probing yet patient. Laughter flowed, but tension simmered, a triangle with edges sharp as glass. Back home, alone with his thoughts, Alex paced. Love wasn't a zero-sum game, but feelings were finite, tangled in the firm's fallout. The anonymous sender struck again, a voice memo, Jared's timbre unmistakable, boasting to Vasquez about the photos. Evidence, gold. But playing it meant war, public, painful. Elias arrived at dawn, bearing bagels and resolve. Play it, he advised over coffee black as midnight. But smart. Leak to the press, not the firm. Let the light do the work. Alex hesitated. The cost of exposure is specter. What if it costs me? Everything. Elias gripped his arm. It'll cost you nothing. You can't rebuild stronger. The leak hit the Village Voice that afternoon. Sterling and Knox intern blackmailed in discrimination cover-up. The firm imploded. Knox in damage control. Jared suspended pending investigation. Vasquez vanishing into HR purgatory. Reporters swarmed the lobby, microphones thrusting like spears. Alex fielded calls from Elias's PR machine, voice steady despite the quake inside. Marcus texted, "You did it. Proud." Theo called, "Holy shit, hero. Dinner to celebrate?" But as cheers echoed, a deeper rift yawned. Choices looming, hearts pulling in fractious directions. The case pressed on, depositions looming like storm fronts, and Alex wondered if victory would mend or merely mask the fractures in his own soul. In the quiet of his apartment, rain pattering like impatient fingers, he journaled by lamplight. They saw me as trash. But trash ignites, and in that ignition, perhaps, lay the path to something truer than triumph. Depositions dawned under a relentless sun. The conference room transformed into a coliseum of crossed arms and clipped questions. The plaintiff, Lena, a poised architect with a voice like velvet over steel, sat ramrod straight, recounting boardroom barbs that echoed Alex's own scars. They called it policy alignment, she said, eyes locking on the firm's counsel. But it was erasure. Alex, second chair by Knox's grudging concession, noted every flinch, every evasion, his pen a sword in the fray. Marcus anchored the other side, prepping witnesses with a surgeon's touch, their late-night huddles now ritual. Takeout from the halal cart, case law recited like mantras. "You're nailing this," Marcus murmured one evening, as they pored over transcripts in a coffee shop aglow with Edison bulbs. Alex looked up, caught in the warmth of his regard. "We couldn't without you." The pause stretched, charged, until Marcus cleared his throat. "Theo's been around a lot." "Good for you." Alex's smile faltered. "Complicated for us." Theo's presence had thickened the air, his conference morphing into an open-ended stay at a friend's couch in Soho. Dinners stretched into walks along the High Line, where Hudson breezes carried confessions. "I ghosted because I was scared," Theo admitted one twilight, hands in pockets. "You were building this life, law, city, fire, and I felt small." Alex stopped, facing him under string lights. "You were never small, but I'm not the same kid anymore." Theo reached out, thumb brushing Alex's jaw. "Show me who you are now." The kiss that followed was inevitable, a collision of memory and momentum, tasting of regret and rain. But as Theo pulled back, eyes searching, Alex felt the echo of Marcus's quiet strength, a dissonance that hummed like a struck chord. Guilt coiled, not for the act, but the ambiguity it bred. The case surged forward, Lena's testimony a thunderclap that forced settlement's whispers in the halls. But backlash brewed. Jared, out on bail for the blackmail charges, posted from a burner account. Rants about woke agendas ruining merit. Vasquez resurfaced in a rival firm's newsletter, her byline dripping disdain for frivolous suits. The firm's board convened, Knox's job on the line, Elias's shadow lengthening. In the eye, Alex found solace in Unlikely Quarters, a support group for queer professionals, tucked in a community center off Christopher Street. There, amid folding chairs and herbal tea, he met Riley, a non-binary litigator with tattoos peeking from cuffs, voice a balm of lived truths. "Prejudice isn't a monolith," Riley said during Share Circle. "It's a hydra. Cut one head, two grow, unless you burn the roots." Their words lingered, a mirror to Alex's crossroads. Elias hosted a strategy summit at the Brownstone, fire crackling as allies gathered. Marcus, Lena, even Knox in a rare olive branch. Maps of legal maneuvers unfurled, but talk veered personal. "You've got heart, Harper," Knox grunted over bourbon. "Didn't see it at first. My mistake." Apology, of sorts, but Alex nodded warily. "Mistakes compound, sir. Let's unmake them." Theo crashed the afterglow, arriving with craft beer and easy charm, But tension crackled when Marcus and he locked eyes, polite, but probing. Over pizza, Theo regaled with hospital horrors. Marcus parried with courtroom capers. Alex the fulcrum, balancing with strained smiles. As the night waned, Theo pulled him aside. This Marcus guy, he's into you. Alex's breath caught. He's a friend. Theo's laugh was wry. Friends don't look at you like that. Neither do I, anymore. The admission hung, a gauntlet thrown. Theo left for Boston the next dawn. A note slipped under the door. Fight for what fits now. I did. Heart heavy, Alex texted Marcus. Coffee? Need to talk. They met at the bean counter, steam curling like secrets. Theo's gone, Alex started, stirring sugar into abyss. Marcus's cup paused midair. And the word was a precipice. Alex met it head on. And I want to see where this goes. Us. Marcus's smile dawned slow, radiant. Thought you'd never ask. Their hands met across the table, tentative, then sure. A vow unspoken amid the clatter of cups. But joy was fleeting. That afternoon, the case detonated. Lena's cross-exam turned brutal, the opposing counsel dredging her past. Dead name slips. Old photos twisted into instability. Gasps rippled. Alex objected, voice cracking with fury. Irrelevant and inflammatory. The judge sustained, but damage seeped, doubt clouding Lena's eyes post-session. In the hallway, she gripped Alex's arm. They win if I break. He held her gaze. Then we bend the rules. Together. Elias mobilized, his network flooding the court with amicus briefs from queer orgs nationwide. Protests bloomed outside, rainbow flags snapping in wind, chants a chorus of solidarity. Media frenzy peaked, CNN vans idling like predators. Inside, Jared's trial loomed, his plea for leniency a farce of youthful mistake. Climax brewed in a midnight call. Vasquez, voice slurred, confessing to Alex via leaked line. You ruined me, Fairy, but I'll drag you down. Click. Recording gold, but laced with threat. Her knowledge of Theo's photos, Marcus's family ties. Paranoia spiked. Alex changed locks, slept with lights on. Marcus stayed over that night, not for comfort alone, but counsel. Curled on the couch, City hum a lullaby. He traced Alex's knuckles. We're in this, all of it. No half-steps. Alex kissed him then, soft and seeking, a seal on fragile hope. Dawn brought resolve, but also rupture. Knox resigned, board scrambling, the firm a house of cards teetering. As the trial date circled, Alex stood at the precipice. Love kindling, justice beckoning, shadows lengthening. One truth crystallized. Survival wasn't silence. It was the roar that followed the storm. The courtroom on Pearl Street thrummed with anticipation, oak benches packed with reporters and activists, air thick as courtroom thunder. Alex adjusted his tie in the antechamber, mirror reflecting a man forged in fire. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. Marcus squeezed his shoulder, a talisman. We've got this. Lena, resplendent in emerald silk, nodded fiercely. For all of us. Opening arguments flew like arrows. The opposition painting Lena as agitator, Alex countering with evidence stacked like battlements. Emails, recordings, witness affidavits blooming from the audit's ashes. Knox's successor, a pragmatic Latina named Sofia Reyes, greenlit full throttle, her brief a manifesto of reform. Sterling and Knox evolves. She declared pretrial, or it extincts. Jared's shadow loomed parallel, his blackmail hearing a circus of suits and sobs. It was a prank, he whined on stand, face boyish, but the judge's gavel cracked like judgment. Guilty, probation, firm ban, small justice, but seismic. Vasquez fled to obscurity. Her empire crumbled, last seen boarding a flight to Miami, tail between legs. Mid-trial, a bombshell detonated. Elias testified, not as philanthropist, but witness, decades-old firm docs revealing discriminatory clauses buried in bylaws. They took my donations, he rumbled, voice echoing off rafters, and twisted them into chains. Gasps rippled, the prosecution scrambled, jury leaning in. Alex watched from counsel table, pride swelling like tide. Grandpa, not savior, but sentinel. Off-bench, tensions crested. Theo returned unannounced, crashing Alex's green room post-session. Saw the coverage. You're unstoppable. His hug was fierce, but eyes held questions. Heard about Marcus. Happy for you. Alex pulled back, honesty ablade. It hurts, Theo. You were first light. But this. It's home. Theo's nod was pain grace. Then shine, Alex. I'll find my dawn. Parting was ache without agony, a chapter closed with care. Marcus waited outside, rain sheeting down as they dashed to a cab. You okay? He asked, thumbing water from Alex's brow. Yeah, free even. Laughter bubbled, spilling into a kiss under street lamps. Raw, real, the city's pulse syncing with theirs. Back at the apartment, they cooked, pasta haphazard, wine spilling, nights blurring into mornings of mapped futures. Joint practice, perhaps, or pro bono powerhouse. But the trial twisted. A juror dismissed for bias, anti-LGBTQ posts unearthed, delayed proceedings, frustration fermenting. Lena cracked in prep, tears hot. What if they win? What if I'm just? Noise. Alex knelt, hands framing her face. Your symphony, Lena. And we're the conductors. Riley from the group joined forces, their non-binary insight sharpening angles, a quartet of resilience. Elias hosted a war council at the brownstone, firelit faces plotting countermoves. Sophia pledged reforms, diversity training mandatory, queer affinity group funded. No more closets, she vowed. But whispers of buyouts circulated, old guard fleeing, new blood rising. Marcus's brother visited, a whirlwind of tattoos and trans pride, hugging Alex like kin. Heard you're the one keeping him sane. Thanks. Climax crested on day 5. Closing arguments. Alex at podium, heart thundering. This isn't about one woman, he began, voice steady as steel. It's about the shadows we cast on each other. Prejudice as policy, fear as foundation. Lena stands for the silenced. The intern whispered about, the associate eyed askance, the partner who hides to rise. He wove their stories, his, Marcus's, Elias's, into tapestry, jury wrapped. Justice isn't mercy. It's mirror. Reflect and rebuild. The opposition faltered, their plea for status quo ringing hollow. Verdict deliberations stretched into evening, the hall of vigil of held breaths. Marcus paced with Alex, fingers interlaced. Whatever comes, we walk out together. Elias nodded from bench, pride etched deep. Jury forewoman rose at dusk. We find for the plaintiff. Full damages. Cheers erupted. Hugs, tears, flashes popping like stars. Lena sobbed into Alex's shoulder. You did it. But he shook head. We did. Aftermath cascaded. Settlements poured. Firm rebranded under Sophia's helm. Headlines hailing Harper's victory. Elias beamed at the celebratory gala, arm linked with Alex's. Your dad'd be bursting. Alex swallowed lump. He is up there. Marcus pulled him to dance floor, slow sway amid jazz swells. Future, he murmured. Alex grinned. Ours. But as confetti fell, a final twist. Anonymous donor matched the award, earmarked for queer youth legal aid. Signature? Theo's. Paying forward, the note read. Closure, full circle. Months later, in a sun-dappled office bearing their names, Harper and Ellis, PLLC. Alex filed briefs, Marcus across desk, coffee steaming. Elias dropped bi-weekly, tales spun like threads. Love, once fractured, now foundation, deep, defiant, blooming through cracks. The gauntlet cleared. Alex looked back, not at trash, but treasure forged in fire. And in quiet moments, he whispered thanks, to Grandpa's stride, to Allies' hands, to heart's unyielding beat. Epilogue shadows lengthened over the skyline, but for Alex, dawn broke perpetual. The new firm hummed in a loft near Union Square, exposed brick, pride flags fluttering at windows, clients queuing with stories as varied as the city. First case, a non-binary teen suing school for misgendering, Lena mentoring pro bono. Victory swift, ripple wide. Marcus and Alex's rhythm deepened, mornings tangled in sheets, evenings debating ethics over takeout. You're my plot twist, Marcus teased one night, head on Alex's chest. Best kind. Vulnerability flowed, easy now, fears voiced, dreams diagrammed. Theo visited once, bridges rebuilt as friendship, his Boston tales laced with new love's glow. You were right, he said over brunch. Fits matter. Elias's health faltered that fall, aches from old marches, but spirit unbowed. He co-signed the firm's charter, a clause for anonymous whistleblowers etched in ink. Legacies not hoarded. He growled during signing, hand steady on pen. It's handed off. Alex nodded, throat tight. We'll carry it. Sterling and Knox, rechristened Knox Reyes, thrived reformed. Queer hires doubling. Vasquez's ilk exiled. Jared resurfaced in podcasts, contrition canned, but Alex tuned out. Forgiveness wasn't forgetting, it was forward. Winter blanketed the city in hush. Alex and Marcus at a cabin upstate. Elias's gift, logs crackling, snow muffling world. There, under aurora-veiled skies, Marcus knelt. Marry me? Not for papers, but promise. Ring simple, silver band etched with intertwined roots. Alex's yes dissolved in kiss, joy pure as fresh powder. Spring bloomed cases and commitments, their wedding small, village church, Elias officiating with gravel vows, Lena maid of honor in rainbow sash, Riley best person with quips sharp. Theo toasted from afar, video feed beaming. To twist that stick. Years threaded. Firm expanded, adoptions navigated for queer families, Elias's foundations intertwined. Grandkids came, adopted duo, one trans girl with Marcus's wit, boy with Alex's quiet fire. Elias doted, stories spun by hearth. Your dads fought shadows once. Now we dance in light. On a crisp autumn eve, Alex stood at the mantel, photo of that elevator day faded but fierce. Grandpa's stride, silence shattered, catalyst to all. He traced the frame, whispering, "Thanks for walking in." Life's drama unfolded not in climaxes alone, but quiet cadences, hands held in hospital waits, laughter echoing court halls, love a constant amid change. Prejudices lingered, hydra-headed, but they faced them tandem, unbroken, unbound. In the end, Alex learned, trash treated wrong ignites revolutions. And in revolution's glow, hearts find home, not despite storms, but through them.